Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you everyone? Welcome back grade 4. Okay, today we're gonna start a new chapter, chapter 11, and with the first lesson, lesson 11.1. Let's open your book, page 601. Get yourself ready, get your book and your geometric tools ready, your pencil, your ruler, and your eraser, because we're gonna use them today. This class will start in 2 minutes. Yes, Faris? Yes, Faris.
Yeah. Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, hurry up. You have 1 minute. Yes, Ahmed Shamasi.
Mr. Mo'men, are you tired?
No, I'm okay. Thank you for
Because
asking.
your voice is different. Because your voice is different.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. I'm good. I'm so
Do
good.
we write the
Thank
spinning
you.
wheel? The
What?
spinning wheel. The spinning wheel, do we write it?
Yeah, but I will explain how can we do it, okay? So wait and draw it after me, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Abdul Mohsen.
Mister,
Yes, man.
can I read the first one?
Okay, wait, I will explain by myself, okay? Because it's a little
Okay.
bit complicated, okay? Thank you. Okay, let's start. As I said before, today's lesson is about angles and fractional parts of a circle. So we're gonna divide the circle into some parts, okay? Let's divide this circle, as you see here, into 12 parts, okay? Like the clock, okay? We're gonna divide it into 12 equal parts. So let's see, how can we divide it? Firstly, let's divide it into two equal halves. Let's use your ruler to divide it like that. So we have two equal halves, right? Follow me, please. Okay, after we finish dividing it into two equal halves, we're going to divide these two halves into halves again. So we're going to divide the whole circle into 4 quarters. Okay, so let's draw a vertical line here to divide it into 4 quarters, as you see here. So we have 4 quarters here. So a horizontal line and a vertical line, like that. Okay, now we're gonna divide it diagonally. So we're gonna draw some diagonal lines to divide each quarter into half. Okay, so let's divide it like that. and divide it again like that, and then adjust your ruler and divide this again, and the last part here like that. So as you see here, we have 12 equal ports here. So we divided this circle into 12 equal circular sectors. Okay, now after we divide it, we're gonna shade one port from these ports. So let's shade this after me, like that. Okay, now if you want to write the fraction represents this port, so all we have to do, how many ports that we have here? The shaded port, how many shaded ports here? We have only one shaded port, right? Over the number of ports, the total number of ports, how many ports in the whole circle here? 12, right? So the fraction represent this shaded port is 1 over 12. Okay, let me shade another port. Okay, what about this port again? So as we see here, we have another port with the same fraction, 1 over 12, because each port equal 1 over 12, right? So if you want to get the fraction represent these two ports, how can we know? These two ports together, how can we get the total of these two ports? So we're gonna add them together, right? So add them together as we studied before. Let's add the numerators together and keep the same denominator. So 1 plus 1 equal 2. So these two ports together equal 2 over 12. But 2 over 12 not in the simplest form, right? So you have to get it in the simplest form as we learned before in the fraction chapter. So you have to divide up and down to get the simplest form. How can we divide up and down? Now, if we have the bigger number in the multiplication table of the small number, so we're going to divide by the small number as we learned before. Okay, so let me ask 12. Are you in multiplication table of 2? Is 12 in multiplication table of 2? Yes, it's multiplication table of 2. So we're going to divide by 2 here. So let's divide by 2. Up and down. So it will be 1 over 6. So as you see here, we have 1 over 6, the value of these two parts together. Okay, let me shade another part. So as you see here, we have 1 over 12 here because they are equal to each other. So we have three parts, each part equal 1 over 12. So add them together, so it will be 3 over 12. So these parts equal 3 over 12 together. But 3 over 12 not in the simplest form. We need to write it in the simplest form. So let's ask 12. Are you a multiplication table of 3 or not? Okay, come on guys, turn on your cam, all of you. Okay, so how can we divide 3 over 12 here? So we're gonna divide by what? 12 in table 3, so we're gonna divide by 3. So 3 divided by 3 equal 1 over 4. So that's our fraction here, 1 over 4. Okay, so as we all know, we have some common fractions. Okay, let me draw it for you here. Or let's draw it here. Okay, forget about it. Now, as we all know, we have some fractions. Okay, what about this fraction, the shaded part? What it represents here? Yes, Abdulaziz,
It represents 1 over 12.
I can't hear you, man. Raise your voice, please.
It represents 1 over 12.
Yeah, it's a quarter. Excellent. It's a quarter. Okay, great.
Yes.
So it will be 1 over 4. Okay, what about the next one? What the shaded part represent here? Yes, Faris?
Yes, 2 over 4.
This 2 over 4, it's 1 over 2 because we have the total number is 2, right?
Okay.
Okay? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What about the third one? What this fraction represent or this shaded part represent here? Okay, yes, Ali Sihati.
It is 3 over 4.
Yeah, 3 over 4, 3 quarters. So that's our common fractions we're gonna use today, okay? So let's get back to the clock here. Okay, if I ask you, we have two directions of the clock, okay? We can use this minute's hand to move around the clock, okay? Okay, it moving in normal way, the normal direction like that, right? That's the normal direction of the hand of the clock. So we're gonna move it like that. So this means it's called anti-clockwise or clockwise. It's called clockwise, okay? So this is clockwise. Clockwise means moving like that in the same direction like that, okay? Okay, we have an opposite direction to clockwise. It looks like that. And this direction means what here is called counter clockwise. So this direction is counterclockwise, the opposite direction of the clockwise called counterclockwise. Okay, so let me ask you, if we want to move this minutes hand 15 minutes clockwise, so the direction is clockwise, so we're gonna move it like that in this direction, right? Okay, so what is the new position of the minute's hand after we move it? Who can tell me in which number that we're gonna be? 15 minutes. Okay, what the meaning of 15 minutes? 15 minutes, as we all know, between each two number in the clock we have 5 minutes, right? Between 12 and 1 we have 5 minutes, and so on, according to the minutes, of course. Okay, so between each one we have a small dashes like that, right? So these dashes, each dash equal 5 or 1 minute. So we have 5 dashes between each two numbers. So we have here 5 minutes, and we have here 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and between each two numbers we have 5 minutes. Okay, now I asked you to move 15 minutes clockwise. So how can we move it clockwise? What is the new position of the minute's hand? Yes, Ahmed Shamasi.
Okay, we'll start from 1, 5, and then 10, and then 15. At 3, we're gonna stop.
Yeah, excellent. So we're gonna stop at 3 here. So that's the new position of the minute's hand. Okay, so let me shade this part for you. And who can tell me what is the fraction exactly will be? What is the fraction here? Can answer me here. What is the fraction? Okay, I think Abdul Mohsin can help. What is the fraction of the shaded part here, Abdul Mohsin?
The fraction, wait.
Of the yellow
Mr.
part.
The yellow part. Mister, can you say what fraction means again?
Fraction means the part over total, okay? So how many parts we move around the clock here? How many parts we move? We move from 12 to 1, right? And from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 3, right? So how many parts we move through?
Wait.
3 parts,
50.
right? So
Yeah.
if we divide this, like we divide the previous circle, so we find that we have 3 parts here, right? So we have 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
So 3 divided by what? Over what? How many parts in total?
In total, 15.
No,
Wait.
12. Because the clock divides into 12 sectors, right? 12
Yeah.
numbers. Because we have here 12. Okay? So it divides into 12 equal parts. So now, if you want to get the value of the fraction here, so we're going to divide the number of the shaded parts over the total number of the circle, the whole circle, okay? So we have here 3 ports, right? 3 shaded ports, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to divide it 3 over the total ports are 12, right?
Yeah.
Now, It's not in the simplest form, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to divide it up and down by 3 because
3.
12 in table 3.
Yeah.
So it will be what here? 3 divided by 3,
1.
1. And 12 divided by 3,
4.
4. So it will be 1 over 4. That's the fraction I'm talking about, okay? As we learned before, we have these three fractions, the three common fractions. You have to keep it in your mind. We have quarter, half, and 3/4. Okay?
Yes.
It's very simple. You studied before in grade 1, grade 2, and so on. Okay? So you studied this before, and it's a very common fractions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a quarter turn here. What the meaning of a quarter turn? Quarter turn. So the clock or the minute's hand turns quarter turn clockwise because I'm asking clockwise here. Okay, so what it looks like, let me draw here. Looks like that. So that's clockwise because we have to move from this to this. That the clockwise. That's the meaning of clockwise. Okay. Okay, let me shade it for you. So that's a quarter. Okay, the next one. If I ask you to move a half turn clockwise, so how can we do it? Okay, who can answer me here? I think Ryan Akbar can help.
Yes, Mr. Mo'men.
Okay, we want to move this minute's hand half turn clockwise.
After the clockwise?
Yeah, so the clockwise means the direction, right?
Yeah.
That's the direction of clockwise. And then half turn means we're gonna make half. So what is the new position of the man's hand here?
New position?
It will be on the 6, right?
Yeah.
So that's our new position of our hand, right? So that's our fourth or our half, right, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, the next one, we're gonna move 3/4 turn clockwise. So who can help here? Okay, I think Ali Sihati can help.
Yeah, teacher.
Okay, Ali. So that's our minute's hand. So we need to move it clockwise 3/4 turn. How can we do it?
Um,
So 3/4. We're gonna move it 3/4. So it just like that. 3/4 mean 3/4 like that. So it will be on 9. Okay?
Okay.
So that's our fraction. That's why you have to get the meaning of half turn, quarter turn, 3/4 turn. Okay? Because it's
Okay.
so important to get the direction. So the most important thing in this lesson, the direction of the minute's hand and the quarter or the fraction itself. Okay? Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you another example, but we don't have enough time for this, so I will tell you another example with counterclockwise. Okay, counterclockwise mean the opposite direction of clockwise. So let me read this. And let me move 15 minutes, but in this case, we're gonna move counterclockwise. Okay, now, if you want to move counterclockwise, so we're gonna move in the next direction or the opposite direction. So we're gonna move it like that, in this direction, okay? 15 minutes,
Okay.
the same thing. We're gonna move to get 9 here, right?
Yeah.
So that's our port. So the direction is very important. Both of them, the previous example was 15 minutes, but clockwise, but this counterclockwise. So the direction is very important. So now, quarter turn, counter clockwise, it looks like this one. We have this arrow or this man's hand. We're gonna move in this direction like that. 15 minutes, right? So that's our port. Okay. What about half turn, counter clockwise? So it will be like that. Half turn counterclockwise. It will be the same position. It will be with 6, right?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna move it half turn like that. But the difference here is the direction. The direction here is just the opposite direction to clockwise. So that's our port. This is our port, okay? So it's half turn counterclockwise because I will ask you about this in the exam. So I will give you the figure and the direction, and I will tell you which fraction, it's quarter or half or 3/4, and the direction, counterclockwise or clockwise. Okay, I will give you an examples after this. So
Hear me?
3/4 turn counter clockwise means So 3 over 4 counterclockwise like that. That's the meaning of counterclockwise. So that's our fraction. Okay, so it's so easy, but you have to keep in your mind the fraction, what it looks like, and the direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, let's back to our lesson now. Okay, let's skip the next lesson or the next page, and let's move to
I mute
this
myself.
page, 603. 603. Okay.
So I mute myself or no?
Okay, now, as you see here, he asked you to tell what fraction of the circle the shaded angle represents. So as you see here, it's very important to know the way of the fraction. So we have here half of the half of the circle is shaded here, and quarter of the circle is shaded here, and 3/4 of the circle is shaded, and here is one full turn, one turn, okay, and here half turn and 1 over 12 turn. Okay, now the next one, the next example here. Tell whether the angle on the circle shows quarter, half, 3 over 4, or one full turn, and you have to tell whether clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay? So now, let me think about it. What about this direction here? Direction looks like that. So who can tell me it's clockwise or counterclockwise? Yes, Ryan?
It's counterclockwise because
It's counter because it's the opposite direction to clockwise, right?
If it was clockwise, it would be on this side.
Yeah, great. So it's counterclockwise, that's the direction. But I'm asking also about the fraction. So the fraction here, let's shade it. You have to shade it with the same way with the arrow. So the arrow here looks like here. So this is the arrow. So you have to shade it for the area of the arrow here, okay? So it will be quarter turn. Okay, now, what about this? I will ask Abdulaziz. Abdulaziz, are you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so what about this, Abdulaziz? Clockwise or anti-clockwise or counterclockwise? This direction.
Clockwise.
Yeah, it's a clockwise. Great. Now, let's shade the part with the arrow here. So
It's
it's a half turn or quarter turn?
half.
Half turn, excellent.
Half.
Okay,
Yeah.
the next one. What about Sulaiman?
Yes, mister.
Okay, Sulaiman, the next one. We have here this turn. So this
Yeah.
direction, clockwise or counterclockwise?
Clockwise.
Clockwise, okay. So that's clockwise. Okay. What is that about the what about the fraction? What about the fraction here? Let me shade it for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So what about the turn here? How many turn here?
12, 15.
No, I'm asking about how many of a turn here. A 3 over 4 turn, 3/4 turn, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so that's our lesson for today, guys. Don't forget to check your homework on Think Central. Stay safe. Bye, everyone.